After the end of the Unification War, America was split into two, NUSA and the FSA. This marked the beginning of the era of corporate control. And it's where our story for Cyberpunk 2077 begins. But the story of Cyberpunk doesn't start in 2077 or with CD Projekt Red's AAA experience. Cyberpunk started its journey in 1988 with Cyberpunk the tabletop RPG. Created by Mike Pondsmith in 1988, Cyberpunk was written as a grounded, pessimistic vision of a future shaped by corporate power, technological excess, and moral decay, with its story buried within rulebooks all centered around one place, Night City. Miles and miles of hyperbuildings, neon lights, explicit commercials clambering over one another to hold your attention. A future where law has become business and business is paid in blood. Building legends only reference like Robert John Linden, who we would know as Johnny Silverhand, Morgan Blackhand, The Atlantis, Ulterior Cunningham, and more. Mike Pondsmith's future paints a dystopian hellscape masquerading as functioning society, and CD Projekt Red capitalized on bringing that law to virtual reality in Cyberpunk, touching on topics like dehumanization through cybernetics, as brilliantly shown when enemies bleed electronic cooling fluid instead of human red blood, cyberpsychosis, corporate overreach, immoral disintegration, normalized evil, and so much more. CD Projekt Red throw you into Mike Pondsmith's universe in 2077 as V, offering you 3 choices for a life path and a royal flush of 5 base game endings. And this video is about 1 life path to 1 ending, so needless to say, there are serious spoilers in this video. You've been warned. You have essentially 6 starter Vs to choose from: the Street Kid, the Nomad, and the Corpo, with male and female variations of each. Now, the first reason Corpo stands out is because it's already the more meaningful intro. All 3 are centered around Jackie Wells. Street Kid V is unknowingly at Mama Wells' bar where they're tasked with stealing a high-end car, which Jackie was also tasked with stealing. Things go wrong but right, and boom, sudden friendship. Nomad V is smuggling a package for a client who is, you guessed it, Jackie Wells. Things go wrong but right, and boom, sudden friendship. But Corpo V starts off as Jackie's friend in Arasaka. The history is ambiguous, but it's clear they're already as close as they could get. There's more history to pass along, like the whole 2 years toast. All 3 have this point that will bring you to Jackie Now BFF montage and put you onto the Dexter Deshawn Arasaka job. For Nomad and Street Kid, the Arasaka job is an escape, but for Corpo V, it's a bit of a return. Nomad and Street V wanna be something, but Corpo V is trying to get back down a different path. He already was at the top, twirling his champagne glass in the AV, watching stocks of Arasaka and calling his fucking life coach. V was as Corpo Rad gets. He was at the height of the bullshit of Cyberpunk, craving money and power, normalized to dehumanization, not just through cybernetics, but by treating people like their tasks or objectives, as shown on the rooftop to Lizzie's, and how they treat the staff at Konpeki Plaza with the Corpo option. But despite leaving that life, V still yearns for the riches of Night City, the fruits of this society, to be a legend, worthy of an afterlife drink, and it doesn't come without a price because, like I said, here in Night City, business is paid in blood, and the major leagues will cost V his best friend Jackie and himself.
See you in the major leagues, Jack.
V's resurrection is paired with an expiration timer as Johnny Silverhand makes his home in V's cerebral cybernetics. With Keanu Reeves watching your every moment, it's harder to check off in the shower, but it forces V down a path that will lead him to new connections, enemies, and adventures. Following these breadcrumbs brings V to a job with a Nomad, trying to make a life outside a clan at the mercy of Night City's best fixer Rogue. In order to gain the stranger's assistance, V must aid her, but the small act of kindness is what shifts the rails into position for the most profound of their endings. When male Corpo V met the Nomad Pan and Palmer, like 2 oceans that don't seem to mix, the Nomads are essentially the polar opposite of Corpos. Instead of the top of high-rise mega-building apartments, they live at the bottom of the Badlands in tents, and yet Pan Am is the only straight romance option for male V, and the writing for this dynamic is authentic. From the first drink at the bar and the maybe just rent 1 room. Fun fact, if you play as female V, Panam immediately rejects your advances for a single room, but as male V, she acts clueless about it. This is the kind of writing that makes a game with multiple endings and multiple paths worth replaying to discover every little detail in the writing. And the authenticity makes this path so rewarding, so much so that the path to romance is not straightforward. But because of that writing, when Panam calls V for help, you can't help but handbrake Turn and Floyd to the Elder Caldos to help save a clan member, which leads to this beautiful moment in the shelter of a storm. I've had moments similar to these in real life with dumbass banter like this. I mean, it's a beautiful pause in a fast-paced life, and then out of nowhere, Johnny Silverhand comes along and he's like,
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.
10 out of 10 idea, 10 out of 10 execution. And it doesn't stop here, for the next morning, the storm has passed and you realize that somehow this dusty, empty, barren Badlands is beautiful. Panam has some moral fiber to her. She's not as easy as the advertising and lifestyles of cyberpunk would dictate. There's substance for V and a memory for Johnny Silverhand. CD Projekt Red couldn't stop at the Independent California Motel. They had to give more monologues in the sunrise of the Badlands. This is where the pieces start coming together, because you get an inkling the further you get from the city, the better life seems to be for V. Waiting a while will bring you to the Militech heist mission with the Elder Caldos, and there's more moments like in Cyberpunk that are rich with character building. I mean, these car rides are a peaceful way to absorb dialogue, riding shotgun and staring out the window like Charlie Sheen from the Marlboro advert. But it was at this point the profoundness pops out. Right here, at the fireplace by the train with the nomads. It's ironic, but Corporal V sat in his AV twirling his glass of champagne and watching the stocks of Arasaka, and now sits on the floor with the cold beer watching the fire and the city with the nomads. The contrast is yin and yang, with the guitar track playing in the background, the city at a distance. It solidifies that feeling that the further you go from Night City, the freer you feel. With Panam by V's side, gazing at the stars and unknowingly setting his future. It was at this point that V realized, or rather you realized for V, that becoming a Night City legend may not be the greatest aspiration for the time he has left, and you can only come to this realization when you're playing the corporal path. Continuing to strengthen his bond with Panam leads to them being lovers, and the V essentially being an unofficial Elder Caldo with the loyalty and gratitude of the entire clan. It also seems to be the path that Johnny Silverhand approves more of. This side quest ends and V must continue to find a cure, taking him throughout Night City, which eventually will lead him to the ending where Panam makes her story return, and it will eventually lead to the star ending. But to show the deeper meaning of the star ending, I want to skip ahead to the sun for a second. There comes a point, you know it, of no return that'll lead you to this rooftop with Johnny. Okay, this is your last chance, your last breath, so you're betting it all on your last job. Your choices ultimately are, who do you use to finish your task? V gets a chance to call Panam, but to get the sun ending, you must not accept the help of the Elder Caldos, which is offered immediately because Panam is a ride-or-die personality, but you must reject it and storm Arasaka as Johnny with Rogue, and then send Johnny off into cyberspace with Alt and have V's engram return. You could do this without taking Road with the secret ending, but I ain't here to tell you about that. Both of these paths lock you out of running away with the Elder Caldo, so it marks the end of the relationship with Panam. But what I noticed was that while he did succeed and become a Night City legend, this V sounds hollow. Like he already died before he returned to his body. His voice seems distant. He's seen it all, man. He's back at the top, but at what cost? Was it worth it? It doesn't seem so. More jobs, more merc work in Night City. One that would take you to the space station sequence where you set out on the Crystal Palace. And that's cool, but after experiencing the fireplace, it doesn't feel right. And that brings us to the title of this video finally. The star ending. Panam, V's ride or die. You see it in how she reacts to V falling. Compared to Jackie at the beginning of the game, who just watches V black out, Panam jumps a counter and almost gets a hand to his head, so help is offered in all sincerity when V makes that 4 a.m. call.
About the gist of it.
And she arrives, I suppose, in the same fashion you did when Saul was in trouble, and brings you back to the Nomad camp, which, by this moment, treats V like a member of the family. This pad gets V knighted and official Elder Caldo to warrant the near suicide mission the entire clan is about to embark on for one person. It's you, the outsider, but an outsider no more. See what I did there? You spend a quiet moment with Panam and the stars. That's the theme of this ending, because the stars are only visible in the Badlands, away from the light pollution of the city. And you only get to appreciate it more with Panam.
I could sit here with you all night.
The Aldecaldo's plan will have you drill from the Badlands in the Makoshi, where you'll infiltrate it with Saul and Panam. In a lot of the ending pads, a life is sacrificed for V to move on, always at the point of Adam Smash's fight, but the Aldecaldos take a heavier loss throughout. Teddy and Bob and furthermore Saul, they will all give their lives for your freedom and to get you to Makoshi with Panam by your side. Their sacrifices, Johnny forewarns, constantly will weigh on V, but that's what they rode out for. The success of this last heist brings you to Panam's Thornton on the outskirts of the city by the dam that started your first job with her. Gazing at the city you will leave. This V is satiated compared to Sun V, who is distant and hollow. Sun V is dead man walking, but Star V is hopeful man dying. You see, V's condition is changed after the ending. He's now an engram in his own unsuited body instead of battling Johnny Silverhand for it. There is more hope. Vic's meds seem to be working to block things off, and the Nomads are sure their connections will help. Their connections are with Stormtech, which outside of the game's lore is rumored to be involved with Project Orion, and we've seen Phantom Liberty, a cure is possible. Cyberpunk's rich storyline does something that video games haven't managed for a long time. It left me satiated. I sat back after completing the story for the third time, feeling full of gaming. I kinda don't want to play games for a while. I feel so satisfied. It's like post-nut clarity. Cyberpunk is not a fantasy, it's a warning. All the endings are executed with brilliance, and I recommend playing them all, even if you disagree, but the Star is the only one that gets V away. As you drive to the border, with hope in your heart and Night City in the rear view. Corpo V to Nomad V. On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish the two of you good luck.